Hi, I'm Tim Scheib, husband of one, father of five, realtor, and this is Behind the Sign. Today is a special one. We are actually doing a dual podcast. Eric Kim with Eric Talks Marketing Podcast is going to be interviewing me and asking me some questions about how I market and how I use social media. So we are going to record that, and hopefully you enjoy it.
So I guess just to start off, a little bit about your social media presence. I'm just going to read off your kind of credentials here. On TikTok, you have 22,000 followers. On Instagram, you have 1.5 thousand. On your Facebook page, you have almost 7,000. And you have a YouTube channel, which also, consistently produces content too. So, just before we get into everything, like, how do you think about social media?
Well, social media, it's kind of like Zillow. You need it. It's kind of an enemy, right? Like there's so many things on social media that's hard to get over. The only thing I really surf is TikTok, right? Like I don't really surf my Facebook page much. I don't really surf a whole lot anywhere but in TikTok. But social media is a huge platform to be able to get your word out, to be able to advertise. And for real estate, getting your properties in front of buyers and potential buyers is the absolute best thing you can do. So for my clients, it's absolutely necessary. And it's a full-time job, just keeping at social media.
Yeah. So when you talk about getting all this content in front of your followers, what are the mechanics of that feedback loop that then turns into business? So you're putting out content, obviously your followers are commenting on it or just looking at it. And how does that come back to you? Is it kind of like a sphere of influence thing where you're just staying on top of their minds, or is it also expanding into new people that you might have not known before?
Yeah, there's a lot to it, right? So when you boost a post, you get a high number of likes on them, especially when you have a cool house that you list, right? You get, depending on how much money you spend, you can reach new people. And when you reach new people, you invite them to follow your page. And this is on Facebook specifically. I think Facebook is the best spot to actually market homes. Instagram, it's okay, but you just reach more people through Facebook. And you invite new people to your page, so you're getting new people to follow you. But you said the key thing there, your sphere of influence. That's the number one spot for me. It's one of those things where you send out your emails, right? We have a radio ad that we do, and Facebook's just one more thing that gets out in front of people. Like it's just one more thing. So if you can have, for example, I have this ad, it's called Bet Your House, kind of an obnoxious guy in Des Moines does this obnoxious bet on football games, and he just says funny stuff, and it's on a sports radio. Well, people will say they love the Bet Your House ad, and they always see me on Facebook. So those two things bring the credibility to each other. And that's where you get the new clients and the new customers. And then your past clients, they always, they love following you, and, you give them shout outs every once in a while too. So.
Absolutely. I know, as I alluded to just now, you have quite the history of social media that we were talking through a little bit in the pre-show. Just talk about your kind of first entry into social media, how you learned about it. And from that point to the point you're at now, what are some of the milestones and biggest learnings you've had along that journey? Talk about that.
Yeah. One of the things that I've always been is creative. Like I went to school to be an art teacher. I wanted to teach photography.
Oh, wow.
So everything to do with a camera is what I've always loved. And it's morphed into videos, right? So in the early 2000s, professional photography didn't really exist in our market for homes. I always bought a nice camera, and I knew how to use Photoshop and did the best I could for my photos.
Gotcha.
But what I did do is I started blogs, right?
Oh.
Before social media was big and before it really helped your business, I started a blog. So if I had a client building a home, I would set up a blog page so that they could send it to all their family to watch this house being built. And I would post updated photos throughout the process. That way, multiple things. Their family's watching the house being built. They're watching the house being built. They're loving the process. Also, if you ever wanted to hang something on a wall and you want to know where your electrical wires are, you want to know where your vents are, your plumbing pipes, you don't screw into them. they can go back to that blog and take a look at the photos throughout the process. So that was one of the things that was like my first start. And I suppose you call that social media, because back then
it's something. Yeah.
Yeah. So then I transitioned into a Facebook page in 2012 or 13. Just saw it laying on my bed one night, going through Facebook. And I was like, oh, what's that? You can start a page, started a page. I learned how to boost stuff, and boosting stuff, getting in front of so many people for so little money. I'm like, I'm going to dump as much money as I have into this, because in 2019, when the market crashes, they're going to think of me. And
so let me pause and ask you about that moment, because I think a lot of people, when they see a new platform or a new feature or a new something that they have to do, it's, on one hand, like the rational, logical business person would think of that as, hey, this is an opportunity. Let's make sure we know how to leverage this. Mm-hmm. But to, the average person, and especially as entrepreneurs and business people and realtors, we look at that and think of it as kind of like, ooh, another thing to add on to the plate of things to do. How did you interact with, the new Facebook page feature, the boost feature? Like, what was your thought process there? And did you have anything similar like that to overcome in order to really learn how this works and get the necessary information you need to then know it's a great opportunity and then invest in it?
Well, I mean, so I am a go person. I'm not a person that's going to analyze, right? Like you analyze stuff that's in your history, right? Like I don't look at the analytics on anything. I just go, and if it works, great, right?
Yeah.
And the one thing that helped me understand that this was a good thing was the number of people that would like a post. I would look at it after I boost it, and I randomly fell into the page, right? Just by exploring. Then I randomly fell into, oh, they liked it. Invite. And I was like, holy smokes. And that's how my page took off. I got lucky. I found it. And, I was probably 1,000 to 2,000 followers ahead of everybody in the market. I was rivaling, like my page alone was almost as big as other companies in the area. So that was to where I knew that we were doing well. Also, just feedback from people. Hey, saw your post on Facebook, on Facebook, those types of things, it's working. So you just don't quit.
I think you said something earlier where you said you got lucky on Facebook in 2012. I would kind of challenge that, because I think speed is something that not a lot of people have in business. A lot of people kind of have a plan that they come up with, and they slowly make progress on that plan according to how it is, without leaving room to be nimble, without leaving room to be innovative, without leaving room to redesign their whole idea when the new information, new opportunity, new platform comes on. And so to the person that, for whatever reason, whether it's lack of plan or a built-in kind of flexibility, is able to jump on these new things, I think is very important. And whether you had that mindset in 2012 and won through Facebook, or had it in 2019 and 2020 through TikTok, I think both, it's not about the platform, it's about the speed on which you get to the platform before everyone else does. And so I think there's definitely something to be said about that. Question on something I noticed in your YouTube channel. So you, before the show, I did a little bit of research on some of the content you've put out in the past. Currently, you have a podcast called Behind the Sign. I think you're on episode like 27 or 28 or something like that. Yep. But years ago, you had another show called Getting Real with Real Estate. And I don't know how top of mind and fresh in your mind that is, but, you've done multiple like show series or like series of shows. So how did you get into that? What was your thought process behind that? And how has that been for you in terms of like learning and business impact?
Well, for me, I like being in front of the camera. I mean, that's just the way it is, and that's fine. It's just fun for me. I've got an older brother that's a playwright and producer of musicals. Oh, wow. He's a professor of theater. So it's just kind of, I would like to say the art of it is in my blood a little bit. My wife, we did a Behind the Sign series, which you probably saw. I can't really remember what Getting Real with Real Estate was, but I do remember the name. Yeah. But the Behind the Sign was something we did for quite a while. It just got overwhelming. It was hard Like I said, she's more scripted. I'm more fly by the seat of my pants.
Yeah.
We needed to script it and go to different. So it was just really hard. So when I started my podcast, I came back to that name because I just like that name, Behind the Sign. So, but for me, I just do it, right? I just get on and I told you earlier, like my podcast, I come up with a topic typically right on the spot, and then I just talk.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of how.
And would you say that's mostly something that, like your current sphere is the primary viewership, or do you think that you've been able to distribute that more broadly to, you know, maybe folks on TikTok or folks on YouTube that are just searching and finding it, or otherwise through sharing or anything else?
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I don't get a ton of views. I know that. And I'm okay with that. Like, I'm not someone who's going to get deterred. One of the things I've always said is I'm willing to share my secrets because I feel that I personally, so this is a total Gary Vaynerchuk thing to say. And one of the reasons why I got into him was he said the exact same stuff that I said previous 2 or 3 years. So it really, really resonated deep inside of me. But this is one of the things he always says. And I said it well before I ever heard of him. I said, I don't really care if I share my secrets because I'm going to do it better than others. And I'm going to stay consistent with it. Yeah. And that's kind of the thing that's what wins in social media is consistency. And so with YouTube, I put it on YouTube. We also upload it to Instagram, IGTV. We try and promote it through Reels. We try and promote it through stories. We don't have a ton of views yet, and that's fine. And I try and keep my topics not so much current real estate market. I do few here and there on current real estate markets, but I want to keep it interesting. So if for some reason one does take off, people can go back and still get relevant information on it. So I'm not necessarily doing it for viewership today. I'm doing it for viewership in general, and hoping that one of them does go a little bit better than the next. And I know your show is going to go viral, so then they'll start following me, and we'll be all good, right?
Absolutely. I think that's that's I think a crippling component. The whole, I'm not getting views, therefore, I'm going to rethink everything and stop doing what I'm doing because you got to get your production to steady state. I think you're ahead of a lot of realtors and a lot of people that just want to be active on social media because you said you naturally like being on camera. Mm-hmm. A lot of people either just like to be private about their lives or just are uncomfortable or feel awkward, don't know what to say, don't know where to put their hands, whatever the case may be. But you're already past that. I think step 2 for a lot of realtors is getting into that steady state of production. Like regardless of quality, you have to get into the practice of putting yourself out there. So I think you're absolutely right. Like, I think it works to your advantage a lot to enjoy the process.
Right.
And that's what I'm finding too. Like if you look at my podcast views, like it's a lot of fun. Like I'm getting to talk to you here, and whether like 5 people watch it or 100,000 people watch it, like I'm enjoying this like half hour, 45-minute block with you. So it's something I can continue to do in perpetuity. And I think, a note to any realtors out there that are thinking about social media and are not seeing like the thousands of likes on their posts. Like you're not going to get thousands of likes on your posts, especially in the beginning. If you continue at it though, for 5 years, you have a fighting shot at, having that kind of influence.
One of the things about video too, you're talking about likes and stuff on videos. When you post a video on Facebook or even Instagram, it's different than photos, right? You look at the photos and you hit like. A video, you have to hit the video, you have to hit the audio, then you have to exit out of the video, and people just used up their clicks. So you can't get wrapped up in likes.
Gotcha. And one of the other things that I know has been a bit of a theme in your, especially recent, like virality on TikTok is you had a particular video that went super viral. It wasn't any, real estate tips or anything. It was just a funny video of you, like, I think digging a sign from underneath some dirt.
Yeah, that was insane. Like, so my first video that went viral on TikTok, and this is where it gets kind of tricky with the algorithms. I bought a family farm. I don't know if you saw that video, but I went down I deer hunt, right? We have a farm that's been in our family for 95 years. I went down to get my tree stands put together, and there's a piece of ground right next to us that my aunt sold. And it was a piece of ground that I learned to quail hunt on. It was like in our family for 95 years, and she sold it. Well, it had an auction sign up. And so I had my videographer record the process of going down and doing the auction. Nobody bid against me except for the bank.
Yeah.
So basically the farmers in the area knew we need to let this kid have this farm. It was in their family. They didn't bid against me. Well, that video was my first one that went viral. And on TikTok, I just took a clip out of it. And oh my gosh, like my kids, I told them, I go, I'm going to be more famous than you on TikTok. And they're like, no, Dad, seriously.
Do they have a big following on TikTok too?
No.
Oh, okay.
They don't. And that's what was funny. Like I put that video on and I went to bed. I woke up the next morning with like 700,000 views and 35,000 likes. I'm like, holy smokes. But what that did was I got in on the farm side of TikTok, not the real side. So here I am, and I'm okay with that. I love farm, right? But it's not going to help my business much. So you'll see some other posts of mine where I would go and like take video of me looking at farm videos and deer hunting videos, because that's what, you got to try and keep some of those. But that one that you're talking about had ungodly amounts of views and like 2,000 likes.
Mm-hmm.
How the hell do you get 800,000 views and 2,000 likes? I don't know. I can't explain it.
Well, there comes another kind of challenge with a certain amount of virality where people start making real pointed comments at, things that you care about. I think someone commented something like, real estate agents don't do any work. And it was like the first time you did some sort of work, and you're talking about how I think like your children were fighting them on the comments or something like that.
Well, the irony behind that, I did that podcast and it was like less than a week later, we did this cute video of my son in a house. So we took my son, he talked about his dream home. We showed the house and I had him, say, my dream home would be this, which was our listing, right? So we kind of pulled those two together and it was a really cute video. It was great. Someone posted on our Facebook page, that's a cheap way to sell a house. I will never buy a home from you guys. And I'm like, and luckily a lot of my friends saw that and a lot of my past clients, and they just went in and they just loaded her up on comments below. And to her defense, she just doesn't know how social media works. But it's funny, the number of times I've said to people, if you don't like it, don't comment on it and it won't keep showing up on your page, but you comment on it, it'll keep showing up.
Yeah.
You have to understand these algorithms, people, but I don't let that stuff get to me. It makes me mad initially and then I just get over it.
Absolutely. And I appreciated your plug on Gary Vee, because I'm a huge Gary Vee guy. And, I would definitely point any listeners that have not gotten onto him yet, definitely check him out. Because I think one of the best things he says is you got to have empathy for your haters, because if they're going out of your way, they just don't get something. There's something about it is off on them. And if you're putting out the content, you've gotten yourself to being vulnerable and open and authentic, and people try to put you down for it, that's on them. So, I'm looking forward to getting haters. I've not yet reached that level of clout.
Right.
Do you know a realtor named Mindy Cronquist? She has a TikTok and she makes kind of these skit videos. She's out of Utah. She recently had a few viral videos, a few 100,000 in the realtor world. And she was talking about getting haters too, now that she's kind of reached a certain level, and she's like, oh, this is my validation. And so me too, I'm kind of if I hit a certain volume, I'm sure I'll get haters too. So what are your goals as far as your social media is concerned right now in this present moment?
I don't really know. I love selling houses, right? Selling houses is great. I feel there's something bigger inside of me, and that's why I do my videos. That's why I continue to push and push. I don't even know what that looks like. One of the things I would like to do is I'd like to be on a national stage. I would like to, whether it's a coaching company or something, just speak to my past, what I've done, and try and help other real estate agents understand how to be better at their job and how to reach for the stars and go for it, and not care about those haters and not care. Just that's where my passion lies.
Yeah.
Real estate's a vehicle for me to get there. Kind of like, we discussed, real estate and marketing is a vehicle for you to get where you want to be.
Yeah. Is that something that you would want to have that's facing realtors that want advice and help, or just anyone, maybe entrepreneurs? Like, what is kind of your target
and
audience there?
That's funny that you say that, because like Facebook is there for me to try and grow my real estate business and sell the houses that I list. That's what Facebook has been for me since I started that page. Instagram, we participate in Instagram. Instagram, I still haven't seen the value behind it just yet. Mm-hmm. It might happen, if I hit the explore page on one of my IGTV things, or my reels, that might happen. But I would say Instagram and TikTok are very similar, as that's reaching more of the real estate community. And it, like TikTok, going local on TikTok is somewhat difficult. Mm-hmm. You might be able to provide me some help with that, but you're just not going to get the followers, like the mass numbers.
I want to ask you for advice for two camps of people, okay, especially as it relates to social media, but it could be broader. The first is, what advice would you give to a brand new realtor, as far as, anything, advice you would give to a brand new realtor?
As a brand new real estate agent, it's very, very important to learn from the best. You got to humble yourself, and you got to understand that there's been so many people getting into real estate in the last 5 to 10 years thinking, and I mean, it could be HGTV, I don't know, but thinking, I'm just going to make a bunch of money. I'm going to get in and make a bunch of money. It doesn't happen that way. I mean, it is extremely, extremely difficult to be successful in real estate. And so I say, find a mentor, work with them, use their name. For example, there's someone who sells a lot of houses, right? And you're new to the business. Go and ask them, hey, if I set up listing appointments, will you split that with me and close a deal? Well, now you can use that person's name. You can be like, hey, I work with the Scheib team, and it's a for sale by owner. Hey, I work with the Scheib team. Would you be interested in talking to him about potentially selling your home and what the value is and all that? And by using someone else's name, it might actually give them the opportunity to get in the door, right? Well, then you get to listen to them present, and you get to learn what they say, learn what they do. And with that, I mean, you're in, right? So it's kind of like Gary Vee would say to young video guys, like, go video someone for a year, work for your year for free. Well, this isn't for free. I mean, you're getting half the commission, you're getting paid, they're getting paid, everybody's happy. Even if you gave them 75% because they're going to do most of the work, you're just going to sit back and do the grunt work and learn. So that's one thing. The second thing for a new person, you just have to get out. You got to put yourself in a position to win, and you have to call people. You have to go knock door to door. You have to get the door slammed in your face. You have to be told no 100 times. But if you stick with it, it's like anything. It's like insurance, investments. If you stick with it, it'll eventually pay off, and pay off big.
Absolutely. Absolutely. My last question for you is, what are you excited about? What gets you fired up? What's on the horizon? What can we expect from Tim Scheib?
Well, I'm extremely excited about what I have going right now. And I think you can expect two of them to take off eventually. I mean, I feel confident in that. Every day I wake up, I write positive affirmations. Wow. And one of them every day, and I write it every single day. I said, I want to grow my Facebook and TikTok to 10,000 plus, Facebook and Instagram to 10,000 plus, and TikTok to 100,000. That's my goal by the end of this year.
Wow.
I got to really move on Instagram. That's the big thing. And I put the 100,000 for TikTok because, like I said earlier, once you have a following, more people will follow. So like if I have a couple more videos that go viral on the following standpoint, not just the likes or not just the views, but people actually following, they're going to grow exponentially. And I feel like there's enough real estate agents now getting into the business. If I can reach some of those agents around the country, I feel like it will continue to grow. I'm hoping for an opportunity to maybe get on a podcast with a big name person, like in the industry, help that grow. Obviously I'm going to use this podcast with you to help try and put out some good content that people can appreciate and follow. So.
Absolutely. Do you have any specific people who you're like, I want to be on with Ricky Carruth, or which podcast are you trying to get
Ricky
on
Carruth, it's funny you say that. That dude, I started following him when he was very early into it. And I just like, that is a dude that just, I don't know what he has in his pocket, if he's a master editor himself, but that dude put out a lot of content, like a lot. But anyway, I digress. One person I'm really interested in jumping on one of his podcasts would be Tom Ferry. That would be that'd be the pinnacle for me. I've been in his coaching for, I think, 6 or 7 years with the same gal. Wow. So that's something that would be one of the ultimates for me.
Wow. Well, I hope to see it happen. I'll be following you, and one day you're going to be on with Tom Ferry. I'll be like, he manifested that into existence.
I made it. That's right. And that's what manifest. Funny you say that, because that's why I write in my thing, my journal, it's a manifest. Like, it's going to happen by the end of the year. I swear, like, some of the successful realtors that I have the privilege of of meeting like this, like, you guys are some of the most inspirational folks I've ever talked to, because I think that's the nature of real estate. It's, very entrepreneurial, obviously. Yeah. And I think, it's only the people that are willing to create systems in their lives to make it work when there's no default path forward. And so I definitely feed off of that energy myself in my entrepreneurial spirit as well. Right. But hey, Tim, I really appreciate it. I feel like I learned a lot, wasn't really in the social media game as hard 10 years ago. So to hear about your experiences through that was super interesting. And, we'll definitely plug all your socials. So if anyone has any questions for Tim, you could definitely reach out to him. If you're thinking about moving to Des Moines, definitely reach out to him. Yeah. But anywhere in the country, I can find you a great agent.
There you go. He's been in the game almost 20 years. So it was a pleasure, Tim. Hope everyone really enjoyed this episode. Definitely stay tuned for more episodes. Leave comments if you have any questions or anything you want to hear more of. But that's kind of all we have for this episode. We will see you again next time.